Dear listeners, feel the real fear with us. Horror stories from all over the country and abroad. Those who have been, are being, or will be involved in today's episode, greetings and love to everyone. I hope everyone is well and healthy. Like every episode, I am with you all to present the events you sent. Hello everyone again. Before we start the story, please comment where you are watching from and what time it is. Without further delay, let's get to the story. The story is shared by Sofia, who lives in Florida, Miami. She is studying at MAST Academy and is a regular listener of our channel. The incident she is sharing happened at her grandfather's house in Tampa. This event took place between 1965 and 1968, a few years before the Great War of Independence. It happened a long time ago, and Sofia isn't sure about the exact year because the person she got the story from also couldn't recall the exact year. Near her grandfather's house, there was a pond called Mukhtar. The story revolves around this pond. Sofia's grandmother had been married for 2 years at that time, and Sofia's mother was 6 months old. It was winter, and during a cold winter afternoon, her grandmother had bathed in a nearby creek and oiled herself. While she was sitting outside on a mat, two women from the neighborhood named Emily and Sabira came to chat. During their conversation, Emily mentioned a popular tale about Mukhtar. She said that the pond contained 7 large clay bags filled with gold, and that they were there to help people in need. If someone was truly suffering, they could go to the pond at a specific time and ask for help. But the pond only helped those who were truly desperate. If someone asked for help, the spirit of the pond would check if they were genuine. The request had to be made in a specific way after the Fajr prayer before sunrise, and it had to be done 3 days in a row. Emily, who was very poor, was intrigued. Her husband and children struggled to make ends meet, and sometimes they went without food. When she heard the story, she wondered if it was true and whether the pond could really help. Lily, the grandmother, assured her that it was a well-known story in the village and that the pond never asked for anything in return. So Emily decided to try asking for help. The next day, she went to the pond at the prescribed time after the Fajr prayer and prayed for assistance, but nothing happened. The second day, she did the same, and again there was no response. On the third day, she pleaded for help for a long time, and when the sun rose, she stopped. That night, she had a strange dream in which she heard several eerie voices saying, "We came to help you last night. But remember, you can only take from the bag once. Whatever you pick up the first time is all you get, and you must not tell anyone." The next night after dinner, Emily waited eagerly. At around 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, she heard knocking at the door. Her husband Perry woke up and opened the door. To his shock, he saw 7 large clay bags floating in the air. Terrified, he grabbed a broom and struck the first bag, breaking it. Upon hearing the noise, Emily woke up and saw the bag was broken, but the other six were gone. Suddenly, a voice came from inside the bag, sounding furious. "We came to help you, but you insulted us. You will pay for this. I curse you and every male child born in your family for the next 7 generations will go mad and die." At that moment, the broken bag vanished. Barry realized his mistake. When Emily heard the curse, her husband started screaming and crying. He was comforted by Emily, who tried to calm him down, but later they consulted a knowledgeable religious scholar to understand how to undo the curse. The scholar told them that the curse couldn't be removed, and the powerful spirits attached to the bag had changed their course of action. They would never take back their curse, and Barry's mind slowly began to deteriorate. Over time, Barry went mad, talking nonsense and insulting people. He didn't want to wear clothes and was forced to do so. Years later, he passed away, but he remained insane until his death. He had passed away in his current state. His son grew up, got married, and had twin boys a few years later. After that, his son also went mad and passed away. Until now, the sons of the two twins born to his son are also mad. They have to be kept locked inside the house. Sofia herself had visited to see them and witnessed the condition of these two twin brothers, who are still insane. This means that the condition has persisted for 7 generations, but no woman from the family has ever been affected by this. This is the strange thing. The curse is a very dangerous thing. Once someone is cursed, it sticks. If the curse is given for a justified reason, it remains. But if it's given unjustly, the curse returns to the one who gave it. The curse is a very dreadful thing. May Allah protect us. May Allah protect us all. If you are in that area, you can verify the truth of this event. In fact, many such mysterious incidents happen around us. They remain a mystery forever. Although it may sound unbelievable, this is the truth. This was the incident. If you have had any such miraculous and scary incident, you can send it to thehorrorstories@yahoo.com, and we will try to read the story in the next episode. Let's get back to another story. Hello everyone again. Before we start the story, I'd like to ask you to comment on where you are watching from and what time it is there. Don't delay, let's get started. The story was sent by someone named Harold Islam, who lives in Alaska. The incident happened in the North Pole in February 2017 on an unspecified date. The village name might be recognized by many as it's a large village located in the Bahubal area. The village is well known because of the primary school situated there. Harold didn't share the exact name of the village, perhaps to avoid causing panic among the locals. The story centers around a tree, specifically a dead palm tree that grew in the middle of a banyan tree. This tree became significant to the people of the village. The area became frightening after dark, and no one would dare approach the tree for fear of strange occurrences. There was a middle-aged man named Lila, about 40 to 42 years old, who lived with his family in peace and happiness. He had one son and 2 daughters. In February, the local streams dried up, so many people went fishing in the rivers. This allowed for better catches. As the water level dropped, Laila spent his days working in the vegetable garden, which he sold in the market. Before evening, he would return home, rest a little, and then head out again to fish with his friends. However, Laila suddenly fell ill and couldn't go fishing for 34 days. As a result, he had no fish to bring home, and there wasn't enough food, especially fish, for the children. He thought about selling the spinach he grew before it went bad. As it would lose value over time. He sent his children to pick the spinach and took it to the market in Bahubal around 1 to 2 pm. He sold the spinach for a good price and bought some fish as well. Since he hadn't been fishing for days, he thought he could at least buy some fish for his family. After feeling a little better, Laila thought he might be able to go fishing that evening. And if he caught something, they wouldn't have to worry about food for the next day. So after finishing his business at the market, he went home, rested a bit, and planned to head to the river for fishing. At around 5 to 6 pm, he left his house to go fishing. The journey home from the market takes about 15 to 20 minutes by auto rickshaw, and then it's a 5 to 10 minute walk to his house. As Laila walked, carrying a bag with live fish inside, he passed by the banyan tree where the date palm grew. He noticed that the bag had become heavier, and the fish inside weren't moving anymore. The bag also started to smell bad, as though the fish had died. He was confused and wondered why this was happening. He arrived home, and as his wife prepared dinner, Laila rested. By 8 pm, dinner was ready, and Laila sent out for fishing again. Meanwhile, at home, his wife began acting strangely. She started yelling and speaking incoherently. The neighbors were alarmed by the commotion and came to check on her. They found her disoriented, with her hair messy and a foul smell coming from her body. The neighbors suspected something was wrong, so they went to get some holy water and oil from a respected religious leader. They brought it to Laila's wife, hoping it would help calm her down. But nothing is working here. This is being informed over the phone because Arshia had left the house after eating. This is when the incident happened. I had the on button with me. She didn't use a smartphone. Laila, who didn't know much at that time, returned home after being out on the road. After Laila returned home, she called a respected religious leader to inform him about her wife's behavior. She told him to keep the phone near her wife's ear. The respected religious leader started reciting an ayat from the Quran over the phone. Immediately, Laila's wife started screaming, saying, "Oh God, stop, stop, my ear is burning, please stop." Once the respected religious leader stopped reciting, his wife calmed down a little. The religious leader then told Laila's mother that since he was far away, he couldn't do anything at the moment. If medical help was needed, he would have to come to their house. But it was already late, so he couldn't come that night. He said he would try to come in the morning, God willing. The respected religious leader lived in a village in Nome, which is in a remote area. It was already around 10 pm, and the roads were difficult, so coming and going was tough. So what could be done? Laila, his children, and the neighbors stayed up the whole night to guard his wife. The next morning, the respected religious leader arrived. He had visited Laila's house before because he used to serve as an imam at a mosque in a neighboring village. Therefore, Laila was familiar with him and he knew where his house was. When the respected religious leader arrived, he began a process. He applied pressure to his wife's little finger and lit something to produce smoke, holding it in front of her wife's nose. Soon, Laila's wife jumped up from the bed and shouted, "Why are you bothering me? What harm has this woman done?" Then the spirit inside Arshia spoke, saying, "She is taking fish from me. Why didn't she give me fish? Why did she bring the fish into this house? I came here to kill everyone, but I like this woman, so I am scratching her body." Then there was an argument between the respected religious leader and the spirit. After some discussion, they agreed to leave, but on the condition that a cow would be slaughtered and a mixture would be shone and 40 kg of fish would be given that day. However, Laila's financial situation wasn't good enough to slaughter a cow and provide this much fish. The respected religious leader did not agree to that, and after a while the spirit realized that it couldn't be captured. Then everyone became worried, thinking that something could happen unexpectedly. After some time, the respected religious leader left Laila's house after securing it properly. Things went well for a while, and Laila started forgetting about it. But then, nearly 2 months later, Laila's wife had a dream. In the dream, her 3-year-old daughter was playing in the yard, and a big owl came and picked up her daughter, dropping her into a pond. The little girl was drowning. On the first day, Laila's wife didn't get scared and didn't give it much thought. She wondered how an owl could lift such a big child and drop her into the water. On the second day, she didn't have the dream. But on the third day, she had the same dream again, and this time she became afraid. It started to happen, and the dream was shared with me. Upon hearing such a dream, Nova get very scared and worried because the jinn was angry with them, so there could be danger. Laila, being a busy person, worked on the field all day, grew crops, and at night, exhausted, went to bed. She planned to contact them, but 23 days passed without any contact. She didn't give it much importance. On the 5th day, something unexpected happened. It was discovered that her little daughter's body was floating in the pond. The family was devastated. They pulled her lifeless body out of the pond. Later, Laila contacted the respected religious leader, his teacher, and with him, they went to the house of the jinn. They carefully checked the house and the trees nearby, the banyan tree and the date palm tree. After 2 days, the respected religious leader asked to meet Laila. When they met, the leader explained that he had taken 2 days to gather information from the jinn. He learned that the 2 trees were not harmful. Sometimes people might be scared if they spot them, but they usually do no harm. However, recently something else had been there. It was a wandering jinn. They travel from one country to another with no fixed tribe or society, staying where they feel comfortable for some time before moving on. The wandering jinn had killed Laila's child. The leader explained that this jinn wasn't very bad. It doesn't usually harm anyone, but when the religious leader began to recite verses to imprison the jinn, it realized it was in danger of being trapped and escaped. The jinn then thought of causing harm, and when it did so, the other jinn chased it away from the area. The jinn in the tree had given shelter to this wandering jinn under the condition that it would not harm anyone. The jinn knew that if it caused harm, the religious leader would be called to expel it. This would not end well for either of them. After the jinn killed the child, the other jinn expelled it, and they informed the religious leader that they had no involvement in the harm. They asked that no punishment be given to the innocent jinn that had been living there for a long time without causing harm. They wouldn't allow any evil jinn to take shelter there again. When the religious leader found out about this, he discussed it in detail with Laila and explained that he was wrong for not informing him earlier. Maybe he had stronger actions could have been taken. He told her that her child's death might have been written in her fate, and the child had now gone to Allah, never to return. The leader explained that no further action would be taken against the innocent jinn. That was the conclusion Laila had to accept. If you have had any such miraculous and scary incident, you can send it to thehorrorstories@yahoo.com, and we will try to read the story in the next episode.